And I'm back. Yeah, so what I'm doing here today is I'm making these forms on the edge of these countertops so I can pour concrete in here. I'm going to do poured in place. I'm not going to make the forms elsewhere and, turn the concrete over. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour right in here, reinforce it, and trowel the top. Okay, I've decided on that. Okay, so how I'm doing this, now I'll show you a little bit more detail here. This is the raw cabinet. I made them the standard way, as if you were just going to attach a standard countertop to there. That's how they're made. Basically, they're just made with these little brackets in here like this, as if you were going to make put a standard countertop on. But because I'm going to pour in place, I need some strength in here, to hold the form. So what I decided to do was put another layer of 3/4 plywood on here. Okay, I covered everything in 3/4. And I mean, a lot of people would use cement board here. You could do that too, but I just happen to have this plywood on hand, and just as easy, and the same expense. Basically, this stuff here was coming at a price not too far off of the cement board. So this front piece here is going to deal with my overhang, and it's going to deal with enough room underneath to put my face frames on the cabinet. Okay, face frames are going to be like this. 3/4 of an inch. Okay. All right. So how I did this was I made up a board for in here. So basically what I did was I put it together with pocket hole screws, and I put this piece on it, and I put another little piece here for the edge of the mold. So, I invented what I wanted to do for measurements. You can do whatever you want, but I cut this piece at 3 1/4 inches wide. Okay, and this is 3/4 of an inch here, so I've subtracted that from it. So what I'm going to end up with is I'm going to end up with 2.5 inches of overhang from the front of the existing cabinet, and then I got 3/4 of an inch of face frame to go on that. Now there was another consideration here. Now this is where dishwasher is going to go. So from the finished floor to the top of my concrete is going to be 36.5. Okay, you're supposed to go 36. 36 is standard, but the way it worked out to get any type of a depth in here, because of the flooring, the way it brought the floor up a little bit because there's mortar and stuff under there, I lost a little bit of height. But that's okay, 36.5 is still fine. But what I got into was the opening here for the dishwasher. What I did was I took the legs on the dishwasher and I screwed them all the way in. So I got the lowest height of the dishwasher, and I stuck it in the hole here. And I realized that the dishwasher would come up to about here. Okay? And so what I decided to do was to make a form. See, this is all going to come off after. This comes off, this comes off. Okay? And then what I did was I made a platform here. Okay? So this is going to be the bottom of the concrete, right along here. That's going to be the bottom of the concrete. This stays in, that stays in, that stays in. And I made this piece. See, I screwed it in from the sides there. This piece is going to come out. This is part of the form. So this will be oiled with a release agent. And once I'm finished pouring this, the top will be here. This piece will come out. So, afterwards, when you look up over the dishwasher, it's just, you're going to see concrete there. There's no plywood above it. And that gives me enough room, probably gives me an inch, around an inch of free space above the dishwasher, which is plenty for, getting it in and out and all that stuff. That's if you have the legs put right down. So it's just the way it worked out. So that's how I come up with that. Once this is poured, of course, this comes off, that comes off, and the top will be level into here. Like I say, this stays, and this is the pattern I have for my sink. I've just roughly laid it out. I'm not quite ready for that yet, but what I'm going to do is I got a stainless steel sink, and I'm going to put it under the concrete, but on top of the plywood. So what I'm going to do when I set it up exactly the way it's going to go is I'm going to cut a hole for the sink, and then I'm going to drop the sink in, and I'm going to silicone it to this plywood. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a mold, and that's basically going to form the hollow above the sink in the concrete, and then I'll pour around it. Pour around it like that, and once the concrete sets, I'll take that block out. But I just wanted to give you the lowdown on how this is happening here. So basically, I'm ready for another one here. So this goes in here like this. And there's my 3 1/4 inch piece for the top. I drill the back of this with a pocket hole jig. Show you here. Yeah, so this will get drilled along here with the pocket holes and attach that piece on there. So that's just what you see here. This was drilled with pocket holes on the back into there. And then I screwed it onto the face of the cabinet. Put my pieces on here. I allowed, for the thickness of this, for my depth of my concrete. My overhang is still in there. Okay, and then on the sides here, it's a little different because this is where the stove goes. And there's going to be no overhang on the counter on the side where the stove goes. So the edge of the concrete is going to be flush with the side of this cabinet, both sides, okay? And the stove is standard at 30, so there'll just be enough room to slide it in there. So there's no room for an overhang on this side of the cabinet. So that's how I did that. I just hung it down there a bit. Okay, you see the detail on there? Okay, so I put that front piece on. And then what I've done is I've cut all these pieces for the dam. Okay, see that? Got all those pieces cut. And I don't have them attached yet. I wanted to leave them off so I could show you. Yeah, I got these little blocks. They'll just go in here like this. Just like that. Same over here, another little piece on this side. I'll just dam it off there. Okay, I got all those edges screwed down. Okay, the little blocks in the back there. And here's the project today. I'm going to start getting this sink put in this cabinet over here. It's an industrial style square profile sink. It's 10 inches deep. It's 30 by 19. Comes with these removable strainers. They come with the basket strainers. Okay, some hardware. And what appears to be a crying towel for having spent so much on one of these sinks, I think. Okay, I think of everything. Okay, so what I've done is I've measured the center of this window. That's exactly where I want the sink centered. And it's that mark there. Translates down to this mark here. And I've translated that onto the countertop. And I've divided this thing in half. It's 15 inches exactly. They've got a 30-inch wide template. I got it squared off in there, and I got the sink centered on the line under the window. So I'm going to silicone a piece of PVC pipe into this hole like that until the concrete's poured, and then we'll pull it out and we'll have our hole through the concrete for the tap. Okay. All right, so I've laid out this piece of styrofoam, 30 inches by 17. And I've started to cut it through. I've taken many cuts to get down through with a sharp blade. I'm not going to try and rip it. Just go through easy. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some tuck tape and I'm going to go around the edge of the styrofoam. And I'm going to that'll help round off the corners just a little bit, and it'll keep the sides nice and smooth. Okay. Okay, so I've cut out a form out of styrofoam, taped the edges, and so basically this one here, you can just see a crack of the sink there. Okay, you can just see that into the bowl a little bit, and that's all the way around. And what that'll mean is the concrete poured in here, once this is secured down, will just overhang the edge of the sink. Okay, so it'll be straight down off the concrete right into the bowl. And I thought about that, and I thought about maybe making another one just a little bigger, so that what you end up seeing, and I centered it the best I could. So what you end up seeing is a bit of reveal, a bit of the stainless steel sink, all the way around. And what I found is, it's really hard to get this straight, especially when you tape it. It moves it in and out a little bit. And so when I centered it the best I could, and I drew around it, you could see where it looks like a little closer there, farther away there. And so what I've decided to do, now this sink isn't siliconed in yet, so what I'm going to do is I've decided to go with the first option, this one here, the smaller one. So I'm going to put the sink in, I'm going to silicone around the bottom here, cinch it down, and then I'm going to use the smaller form, and that way there won't be any reveal. I'm not going to leave any reveal on the sink. I'm just going to have the concrete pretty much flush with the sides of the sink, all on all sides. The only thing you'll see is this bar in the center. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Let's get cracking. Okay, so I put the sink in, I put it down with some silicone, and then I checked it with a level, and then I realized this counter is not perfectly level. And so what I did was I just popped that out of the silicone with a screwdriver, and I didn't know what I'd use for shims, but I had some brad nails. So what I did was I coated bottom and top of the brad nails with silicone, stuck them in there, got it level both ways, this way and that way, and then I just filled under the sink between the brad nails with silicone, and once the silicone hardens, that'll form the solid rubber seal. Sink is level, and those brads can stay in there because this is all going to be covered in concrete back here. And what I'm doing here today is I'm just about ready to pour these concrete countertops. So what I've done here, you can see, I was going to put mesh in them, but I had some rebar, and I wanted some rebar in it anyway around the edges. And because it's less than 2 inches thick, I didn't have room in there for both of them, like the mesh and then the rebar, but I wanted rebar. So I decided to put rebar in all of them. Okay, so I've just, tucked some in there, an inch or so from the edge. And I got this one set up the same. And since I made the base for this form out of this plywood, it's quite slippery. So what I did was I just put some screws in here halfway. They don't protrude underneath. And what that'll help do is adhere the concrete to this countertop, so the whole thing doesn't shift someday. It doesn't slide off of here. Okay, so here's the cement mixer, and the concrete mix that I'm using is called PSI 6000. It's a high strength concrete mix. Okay. Still a little runny, but it's pretty good. It'll work. I think by the time I get it all done, I'll have the mix just right, the last one. That'll be okay. It's coming. It'll be fine. Okay, so this mold is almost filled. I'm just mixing a little bit more. I'm going to put it in here, and we'll give it about 45 minutes to an hour, and I'm going to just trowel it off a bit, and then I'll keep checking back probably every hour for the next about 6 hours or so until it gets hardened up, so that I'll cover it with some plastic. Okay, so I got the mix poured in here, and what I've been doing is I've been taking little handfuls. This is a little extra I put over here. So I've just been taking little handfuls like that and just filling where it looks low. You can see right here, see that little bit of screed board there showing? So I know it's a bit low there, and there's a bit of water on the surface there. Now this is a bit runny, but it's fine. I poured one last week, and it was just about like this, and it worked out very well. Let's show you now. Just a light skim on that. And these are quite wet. This concrete is a little wet. But it's okay. Just to try and get it all even before it starts to get, firm. That. Okay, so here's the mix I've got. Quite a bit drier this time. It's in a slump, you know. Pretty good stuff now. A lot less liquidy. Okay, let's get this spread out. Okay, so we got this much in. And I got to take this frame off in a little bit to smooth this, both sides of the sink, because I can't get the trowel in there. And got this little bit left to do. That's 8 bags of this ready mix, this PSI 6000 in there. That's 8 so far. There's the 9th one in the bucket. And what I'm doing is I'm just pouring it in, mucking it out with my hand, and then I just, you know, I'll leave it sit for 10 minutes or so, and then I go over with this trowel, just a preliminary troweling. And it's coming out not too bad. Bad. Yeah, it's not too bad. A little bit came over the edge here. This is going to be, I'll be able to sand that off around that corner a bit. Just that little piece there. Pretty good along here. And there's a hole coming up here. See right here, I got to fill this. And I guess the mix was very dry up in here, so I'm going to have to fill this. Mix up a little more and fill it here. That'll be okay. And same here, a little bit came over the top of my board, but I can get this sanded off here. There we are. All right. Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty good pour. Got some cleaning up to do, get that silicone out of there. Yeah, I think that's gonna be okay. See here. Ah, it fell right out of there. Look at that. That doesn't look too bad. Little detail there. That's not so bad. Ah. Okay, so I got these countertops poured. They've been about a week since I poured these. Okay, so what I'm starting to do here is I'm starting to smooth out these tops best I can. And how I'm doing that is I pour a little bit of water on here, see? And I've got these sanding discs. I got these on Amazon. I got a little pack of them, and the grit is anywhere from 50 grit up to 3,000 grit. So what I'm using here, started off with a 300 grit just to try that. I don't know if it's quite aggressive enough. I've got, as you can see here, this is not too bad here. Over here, there's some marks in it. You know, you can see in here, there's some kind of like, looks like a sidewalk there, you know, almost. So I'm gonna get that smoothed out a bit. There's some lines in it here. I'm not trying to make it perfect, but I'm gonna get it better than that. You see here, I wouldn't want it like that. I'm gonna get it smoother than that. Let's just try a little bit right here, actually. Let's just try a little along there. Okay. And like I say, okay, 300 grit here. Let's just try this.